Yeah, I think the majority of NFL players are. I think there's two teams that are under 50%. Just as that's probably lowering the average even more. But there's two teams who are really struggling, I think. But yeah, I totally agree with you. But I want to take it to a bigger picture and kind of roll it into what's going on in these red states as well. Is this idea that we all, as citizens of the world, but really citizens of this country, citizens of our community specifically, we're part of a social contract. They're just unwritten rules that we abide by as a whole for the greater good. I don't run red lights. I don't roll by the stop sign. I don't do these things, not because I don't want to. I definitely do, but I'm for the greater good. I'm not doing these things because I want to keep as many people as safe as possible. I live across the street from the school. It's a school zone. It's 15 miles per hour because there's kids there. I'm not rolling through it at 80 miles per hour because I believe, even though I don't have kids, that I have to do my part in society. And that's the problem here, is that you could say, "Hey, I don't know what's in this. I don't want it in my body." The problem is when you're a receiver and your wide receiver coach is 55, 60 maybe, and he's older and he might have a pre-existing condition. You're working with these guys every single day and your body might be able to handle it. But what about the rest of your team and the rest of your teammates and your coaches and the owners and the stadium workers and all these people that you come across on a daily basis? So we have to do a better job of understanding that it's not about the sacrifice we're making for ourselves. It's about the sacrifice we're making for the community. Not only that, but DeAndre Hopkins is a world class athlete. Like if he thinks that his body can handle this, I would urge him to go talk to Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics or Freddie Freeman of the Atlanta Braves, who were struggling with COVID well after they were recovered, well into the season, where Jason Tatum was taking an inhaler to games, and he's 22 years old, right? So if you think that your body can handle this, that's fine, but you also are part of this social construct that that you have to kind of do what's best for society, and that's the struggle that the country's facing now.
Well, one of the things, though, too, that I thought about, and this goes back to when we were first talking about before vaccines were out and we were trying to figure out what the priority was, and I felt that professional athletes should be near the top. And part of the reason why I felt that professional athletes, and even college athletes for that matter, should be near the top is um, your average American um, does not necessarily come in contact and travel as much as a professional athlete. And when you think about the fact that a professional, especially these teams, they come, even the teams, the players come from all over the country. So they're bringing stuff from various parts of the country. Then they're practicing in a large unit. There's fans coming in and going. As you said, there's coaches, there's staff in those buildings that they're coming in contact with. Then they're traveling. So then you got the flight crews, you got the pilots, you got the bus drivers, you got the hotels they're staying at, and then you have all the fans and the media. Um, I think that, and I don't know, you and I, if especially if you and I were asymptomatic, we're probably still limited in the number of people that even if we didn't know we had it, we'd still be kind of limited in the number of people we can infect. But a professional athlete comes in contact with so many people just by nature of how what their lifestyle is
In
like,
season, yeah.
right? And so to your you're right, in
Yeah.
season. Well, even out of season, they still
Yeah,
travel more and
train,
they're
yeah.
going to training, right. And so, as Jamil Hill said, and I'm sure you probably haven't brought it up yet, is these are the same guys who they're taking, shots and everything else during, the fight pain and so it's kind of BS. But the other thing too that someone pointed out, and this was not a football player, but this doctor was talking about how he had someone who didn't take the vaccine and was really sick, and the guy, they had to treat the guy with medication while he was there, and he got out and he told the doctor he still wasn't going to take the vaccine because it's emergency use. And that's when the doctor replied to him, "You know that the drugs that we gave you to help you get over COVID were also emergency use." So, I mean, it's maddening because it's something that we're dealing with in society in general. And the NFL, these guys, I don't, it's just tough.
Yeah. Now, another angle I want to bring in here is, if some of these players were saying, you know what, I'm pro vaccine, but this vaccine seems a little political to me. Like, you guys were telling me not to take it when Trump was office, and they're telling me 2 months later when Biden's is office. Maybe I just want to wait a year or two, and I'll take the vaccine. If you're saying that, I could almost respect them more. But if you're reading these players' tweets and they're talking about Fauci works for Pfizer and all this stuff, the misinformation that's out there is also very troubling because you are an elite person in society financially, physically, and access wise. You have access to team doctors, to specialists. A lot of these guys have, as you know, doctors from John Hopkins and this place and this place are all affiliated with teams. And you have access to a lot of different people that you could ask. And now you're selling me Fox News misinformation points. It's very, very troubling to me because I can't take you serious when you're thinking that way. If you came at me in a different way and said, hey man, I'm trying to be as holistic as possible, and I had COVID before, and I don't really think I need the boost, or whatever your reasoning may be, I could respect that more than Fauci works for Pfizer. By the way, DeAndre Hopkins, I'll put into a little bit of perspective. I don't want to bring Colin Kaepernick into this at all, but DeAndre Hopkins used to be a member of the Houston Texans, who were owned by a super MAGA Trumper, who during the height of the BLM and the Colin Kaepernick kind of thing, when Trump called the players sons of bitches and anybody who kneels on the field should get their ass fired. Forgive my language with the president. That's a quote from the president. The owner of the Texans said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but these players are our property and we're able to control them as we wish, which I'll give credit to DeAndre, very, very was vocally against what the owner said. The owner later sold the team and it never became an issue. But none of those players were threatening to retire when the president was calling their moms bitches. None of those players were threatening to resign because they couldn't take a knee. But as soon as it comes like this, all of a sudden, they want to start resigning and retiring. So